Hello, my name's Suzy McGarrity. I work for LawWorks Cymru, where I'm part of the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Group. And I also coordinate an immigration pro bono clinic with Cardiff University. And today I'll be talking to you a little bit about equality, diversity and inclusion. Having an understanding of what is meant by equality, equity, diversity and inclusion is important in informing how you will interact with clients, staff and fellow volunteers in your pro bono project. Although it's likely that your pro bono supervisor or coordinator will lead on EDI for your project, it's still important that you consider your behaviours in relation to EDI. So what does equality, diversity and inclusion mean? Diversity refers to the differences between people in any given group. This may include differences in gender or gender identity, age, class, sexuality, ethnicity, culture, religion, physical ability, mental health issues, or neurodiversity, amongst many other things. Equality means that everyone should have access to the same resources and opportunities regardless of who they are. It means ensuring that everyone is included and no one is being disadvantaged or discriminated against. Equity, meanwhile, recognises that some people may need to be provided with more or different resources in order to have access to the same opportunities as others. Equity is sometimes used as an alternative to equality for this reason. Inclusion refers to the way that people from diverse backgrounds experience a service and what this service does to understand this and ensure that everyone can participate in the service fully. Whilst volunteering with your pro bono project, it's likely that you'll meet people from many different backgrounds, and it's important to bear some things in mind when you do. Firstly, the iceberg model of culture is important to remember. This states that whilst we can observe some aspects of a person's culture, such as dress, language and food, there is a much greater proportion, such as beliefs, values and social norms, that are not visible. It's very important that we bear this in mind when meeting people and don't make assumptions based on what is visible. Secondly, it's important to remember that we all experience unconscious or implicit biases. These are automatic judgments we make about the world around us, including new people, and these are often based on superficial things. These biases can lead unwittingly to negative assumptions. We will often form preferences for people who are similar to us, whilst discriminating against people we perceive as different to us. The good news is that understanding our unconscious biases can help us to mitigate them. There are some resources listed at the end of this presentation which you may wish to look into further in order to help you do this. I'm going to run through some examples of diversities you might come across whilst working in your clinic or pro bono project. You may often work with people with differences in communication needs, for example with English as a second language, which may require you to work with interpreters to overcome this. Also bear in mind that even people with very good formal English may not be familiar with idioms or slang terms. There may be religious differences between you and your clients or colleagues. Try and be aware of potential differences in norms around interacting with members of other sexes, for example, around shaking hands or sharing personal details. Be aware of significant events in religious calendars, for example, Ramadan. This may make your Muslim colleagues or clients more tired, more needing to rest during the day, have to keep different hours, and less able to do exercise or manual labour. There are huge cultural differences in the way that people consider morality, crime, punishment and justice, which is important to bear in mind. There may be differences in physical ability. It may be that colleagues and clients have clear physical disabilities which require adjustments when attending appointments, for example, needing to manoeuvre a wheelchair around the appointment space. But do bear in mind that some disabilities are not visible and may need more subtle types of adjustment. You may also work with people with neurodiversities such as autism or ADHD. This affects people's communication needs as well as other needs. For example, bear in mind that neurodiverse people may struggle to understand phrases that are not literal, such as idioms or sarcasm. Be aware of socioeconomic differences and remember that people have vastly different budgets and resources. For example, if you're signposting a client to another service, consider how they might actually get to that service. Can they afford the bus or the train? Be aware of educational differences. Not everyone has the same level of education. Approximately 17% of British adults have very poor literacy, that expected of 5 to 7-year-olds, and may be unable to read written resources that you give them. Be aware of gender and gender identity. Be conscious that some clients may be more comfortable with volunteers of a certain gender and respect this. It's also important to remember and respect given names and pronouns. Finally, be aware of differences in family makeup. Avoid making assumptions about marital status and the gender of spouses. Similarly, do not assume that all a client's children are their biological children. This has been a very brief overview of equality, diversity and inclusion matters. For further information, please take a look at the resources below, and thank you for watching.